beautiful souls. It's Robin, and you're listening to the Live Life Balance podcast. I'm so excited that you dropped by today, prioritizing you and your wellness. This podcast is for my empty nester mamas, women who are getting close to this new chapter, who have dipped one toe in, or who are fully embracing this new phase. This is for the mamas who are ready to take back their health, to live their best lives. If you're looking for an authentic, supportive community, you're definitely in the right place. It's a space for us to learn how to prioritize ourselves again. I'll be your guide, pointing you to ideas and tools that you can experiment with to see what feels good for you. You'll also hear guests talking about their journeys and what's worked for them. Together, we're going to learn how to use the 1% shift method to create little shifts and habits that, who knows, maybe become your non-negotiables to feel your best. By feeling our best, we can show up in our purpose and live the most joyful life, even in the challenging times. And boy, this new chapter can seem challenging, but I can assure you we're not alone. Some of the topics we're going to talk about are self-love, self-care, nutrition, daily toxins, food swaps, mindset, and reframing our thoughts. I hope you leave each time feeling a little more empowered and at ease to take a step or two that will allow you to shine. Are you ready? If you said yes, take a nice deep breath and say, I am ready. Now let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the episode. Today we have Tessa Terry on. She is an owner and designer of Alchemy RV Renovations. She does 100% of the work herself, all the way down to the design. Her goal is to turn small spaces into something beyond expectation, something more like home. She started her business so that she could fully work from home and create the work-life balance and mental health that she wanted to create, which is extremely important to her, at the forefront of everything that she does. And you might be wondering why we're talking about RV renovations, but it's her creativity outlet, and creativity has so much to do with our health and wellness, so much more than people know. It is something that is a release for stress and a whole lot of other things. So anyways, we're going to get into the episode. I think you're really going to enjoy it. She is wise beyond her years for her young age. So here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to today's episode. I'm super excited today because we have on Tessa Terry, and she has created her own. It's called Alchemy RV Renovations. And I'm so excited to have her on because, as you guys know, we're always talking about wellness from a holistic lens, and primary foods, part of those things that feed your soul, is creativity. And this is exactly what Tessa's gotten from what she's created for herself. So without further ado, I want to jump in. Hi, Tessa. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on. So I have loved following your content. I love seeing the renovations that you do. And I'm just super curious, how you got there. I mean, what lit you up to make you want to do something like that?
Yeah, for sure. So it is a bit of a strange job that not a lot of people have. I renovate RVs, turn them into luxury tiny homes. For me, I have design and creativity through and through from all the time when I was a little kid to now. So with the RVs in particular, it started in 2021, and I came across one for sale online. I really don't know why I went to go look at it, because I had no experience with RVs. It was a good price, and I thought, yeah, why not? So I checked it out, and immediately when I walked through the door, I just envisioned a different space, a different design for the space. So I envisioned this high-end home-like area, and again, on a whim, I bought it. I did the best I could. In 6 months, I had it finished. It came out exactly how I wanted, and it sold within 24 hours. So after that, my husband quit his job that he was working. He had a 9 to 5 at the time, and I just went in head first. I did this nonstop, and I've been doing it full time ever since.
That's amazing. So when you're transforming that space, I love the term tiny luxury home,
Yeah.
because I think so many people love that tiny home feel and want to travel, and they want to kind of have a little bit more flexibility in where they are, but they want to do it in a sophisticated way. They don't want to have the quote unquote traditional RV setup, right?
Yeah.
So when you're going into, an RV that you've purchased for renovation, what drives the creativity that you put into creating all the spaces to be different? Do you go with the person whose RV it is? Do you help people who currently have RVs, or do you purchase them, renovate them, and sell them?
Yeah, so I get that question all the time. I do both. I buy my own RVs, I do my own designs, and I sell them similar to flipping homes. But then I also do custom jobs for people too. Typically, people who come to me and want a custom job already like my style. I try to stay really true to myself as a designer. So if someone wants something that's like super rustic and dark and all that stuff, I do design consultations, so I help people with that. But since that's not like my cup of tea exactly, I can't help them. I couldn't give them the quality that I would want to. So I stick pretty true to my own designs when I'm doing everything. But like you said, some people don't want to travel in a typical RV setting. And that's exactly why I got started in this. I didn't love RVs. I would never buy one myself, judging on how they were designed before. So yeah, no, creating a home like space is awesome. And being able to travel too is such a huge bonus.
And as you're speaking all of that out, it's really just, it's bringing me back to, wellness. And wellness, part of wellness is your home environment. And if you're choosing, right, to have an RV as your home, if you're choosing to be on the road or to have those adventures, having that space be a home situation in which makes you feel good and be able to find peace and the support and the love and the relationships and all of those things happening within that space, to have it set more in a way that feels good to you, like your own typical home, I think just really makes the experience that much more valuable. And really, again, it feeds into our wellness, because when we are in a space that's cluttered or that's, disorganized or ripped or, not where you would like it to be, subconsciously it does affect us. Subconsciously it does bring a different dynamic into the space. And so, that was what I was really curious about. Like, you didn't start in this industry, but I know that when you had kids, you had said that you went to school for nutrition because that was interesting to you.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about how that kind of came to fruition, and then I'll connect it back to
Yeah,
where you
yeah,
are
for
now.
sure. So yes, when I got married very young. I was 19 when I got married. I met my husband when I was like 16 or 17, and we had our first child when I was 20. And you know, having a kid, I mean, especially at such a young age, that's a whole new world. And of course, you want to give them the best. And for me, nutrition was a really big part of my life. My mom, when I was little, I was always taking like herbal tinctures, and like herbs were a really big part, and eating home cooked food. And, that was huge. But I wanted to know what I was doing, especially when I was having a whole new little life
Mm.
and taking care of that. So I did school. I went to school for nutritional therapy, but never had intention of doing that as a business or for income. I literally just did it so I could learn, to make sure I was doing the right thing for my own kid, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just to take it back a little bit about what you were saying about design, and that's honestly why I got into this with this tiny space, because so much of what we surround ourselves with is what is on the inside.
Mm.
And so if we're not in a space that inspires us, that's so detrimental,
Mm.
health wise and mentally, physically, all of that. So yeah, it's definitely, it's so important to do that.
I love that you just said that, because wherever your space is, right? It doesn't have to be a tiny RV. Your office, your room that you sleep in 8 hours a night, when those things are not in a space that can bring you peace and calm and productivity and all of the things, depending on what space it is,
Yeah,
it does affect your health. And I think people really misunderstand that a lot. So nobody's
definitely.
saying to go in and throw everything out, but when you do have a space that's organized and feels, functional, right?
Yeah.
You're able to have a clearer mind, and your mind's not in chaos, and then you can produce more work, and I'm thinking of like a cluttered desk, right? When you have all the piles of stuff everywhere, it's really hard, even though you think you're focused, your brain sees all of that stuff, right?
Oh, it's
And
it's such a mirror. We're
Mhm.
such a mirror. Our living spaces are such a mirror to what's going on in our head. And I've never seen anyone be able to really be organized mentally and then have a disorganized space. So absolutely. Yeah.
So that's very interesting. So being in a tiny space, because
Mhm.
you don't have a lot of space, what are your thoughts like for functional design? Because people still need storage, right? They still need
For
a
sure.
place for things. And I think that's part of what, when I look at an RV from just a traditional RV standpoint, a lot of times there's not that stuff.
Right.
It's very minimal. So
Yeah.
do you flip that and create more storage and space and room for organization?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. I think that you can a luxury space have to be practical.
Mm,
A lot of times when people don't really dive into my business and they just see some pictures, they'll think like, you know, well, it's all fancy, but like how do you live in it? I really don't think that it can be luxury without being practical. So storage is huge. There's lots of hidden storage that I use in my renovations. A lot of times you'll see pictures that I don't even mention, like my sofas usually open up and they have whole storage underneath them. I had a dining set with 4 chairs and they were like deep stools and they were completely hollow. So it was all storage inside. But I'm always thinking of storage. I mean, those are a few furniture examples, but definitely
mhm.
you have to bring that practicality and, easy to clean, you don't want to make living harder. You could still
Right.
make it prettier and still make it easier to live in. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. That's true. I mean, ease. We're always looking for
Yeah.
ease, right?
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. I'm so glad that you felt passionate enough about something and really, again, choices that we have when we're thinking of careers. I'm sure you didn't wake up, at 16, 17, 18 and think that you're going to be designing, RVs,
Definitely
and
not.
I think that we younger and older, we have so much more opportunity to create things that work for us,
Hmm.
which is exactly what you did. And you did this because you had said that you wanted to stay home with your daughter and that you wanted to provide, so there are always ways of filling your bucket while still being the best mom. And my audience that is listening, a lot of them are moms, some with older kids and some, with younger kids. But I feel like a lot of the moms that have older kids, they've been parenting for a long time and they've been
Yep.
doing a lot of things, to be the best parent that they knew how to be or could be. And in the process, have a lot of times lost who they are or the ability to understand what lights them up, finding that purpose and that passion again. And so I want to encourage everybody listening, you know, creativity brings out that in you. And so creativity is not just drawing, it's not just music, it's not just art. It is truly just finding something that you're passionate about. It could be organizing, it can be cooking. Art comes and creativity comes in so many different forms, but you just need to kind of find what lights you up. And Tessa obviously has found something that lights her up, and other people get to enjoy her work, making their space, more homey and helping with their wellness. So, nobody looks at it like that. Nobody says, oh, if you renovate RVs, you're helping somebody with their health and wellness. But in actuality, you are. And so that was the whole reason I wanted to have you on today, is because I want people to understand that creativity, being connected to wellness, is so important. And so if you're
Oh
someone
yeah.
who doesn't think they have a creative bone in their body, I just encourage you to, or I invite you to just play around, get curious again, see, what is it that you do on a daily basis that brings in some type of creativity? And again, not sitting down and drawing. If you're a drawer, that's fine, nothing against that. But if you do something untraditional, for me, I can't draw, I don't sing, I don't paint, but organizing for me is my creativity, because having something look aesthetic and everything in a place that I can find things just makes me feel calmer.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking about the whole storage thing in the RV. Because if I had an RV, I would have to have enough storage, so that things weren't everywhere.
No,
Um,
but that's so true about finding what inspires you. Who cares about what everyone else is saying to do? You don't have to do
mhm.
the standard typical hobbies to make it worthwhile. It's literally what inspires you. And I think that's why I love being a designer, because that's kind of how I view life. It's not just about putting colors together and furniture together. It's about the ability to design your own life too.
Oh, I
Um,
love that.
I mean, yeah, 100%. That's what I've done. I grew up with parents who owned a Victorian lampshade company, so I made Victorian lampshades for years.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, yeah, but even that, like, that's such a not normal path, I guess, in life,
Mhm.
and you can still find success in it. Um, no matter what you decide to do. If you think of something and you're really passionate about it and no one else has done it, even more so, that should encourage you to do it, not discourage you. So you really can design your own life. Just find what inspires you, and don't listen to outside voices that are negative.
So again, I have no idea how old you are, but you're very wise for how old you are. And I think, you having this mindset and this perspective so much earlier on, you're really influencing others at your age to do the same. And I think where I'm at, a lot of people haven't done that, or, just whatever the circumstance might be, because, we did grow up in an era where it was, this is the traditional route. This is, you
Right.
do this, you do this, you get a corporate job, you climb the ladder. And what happens is you get to that quote unquote top and you're miserable.
Yeah.
You get to that top of whatever somebody told you you needed to be at. And then you think you found something, and then you realize you didn't really find anything. And
Yeah.
so I really do think, backing it up to the younger generation right now, they have a lot more creativity. I think because of social media, because of, the quote unquote influencer stuff,
Yeah.
they're seeing life in a very different way than we see it in the older generation. But
It's very fast and right there in your face, you know. Yeah,
yes,
you can
yeah,
see everything at once kind of on the internet.
which
So
is good and bad. It's
yeah, for
good,
sure.
but it's also bad because it doesn't give you time to think for yourself. But I think if you are someone who's older and you're at a point where you're deciding, what am I going to be again when I grow up? Or what am I going to do with this newfound time that my children are no longer, living at home?
Yeah,
You do not have to go back to corporate America. You do not have to go back to the traditional job. If you want to, great, fine. Nobody, I mean, if that's what lights you up, great. But do something interesting, do something fun, do something that really you have that passion around. And it can be little things. It doesn't have to be, building mansions. It can be, creating an organizational system for somebody who, I'm just using that as an example, but it
yeah,
could be showcasing, if you're somebody who's been a foodie your whole life, just showcasing what you do, because people are inspired by other people. And I think if we look at how we can serve people rather than what we're going to get from it, then we're able to use that creative space a little bit more. Do you
for
agree with
sure.
that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I also think, the generational thing is true for sure. By the way, I'm almost 30, not yet. I'm 29.
You're still
But
very
anyway,
young.
yeah, yeah. So, but the generational thing is real for sure. But I think something that all generations share is a very firm foundation in fear of failure.
Yes.
No matter what they want to do, whether it's corporate America or whether it's starting your own business, there's such a fear there, and it stops so many people from progressing. I'll tell you a really quick little story. When I was a kid, that was
Yes.
really a turning point for me. So, like I said, my parents make Victorian lampshades, and when I was like 5 or 6, I remember I came to my mom and I said, I have the best idea ever, and I'm going to take two random pieces of fabric and like super glue them together and stick them on a lampshade. And, horrible idea, but I was little. And I remember her saying, like, yeah, let's do it. Go for it. Let's try it. And there was no complaints. There was no like, no, that's a dumb idea, nothing. And she gave me all my tools that I needed. I did it. It came out really bad. And she was like, hey, who cares? You tried something new. And it really wasn't that big of a deal in real life. But I look back at that moment a lot, and I see that took out all my fear of failing, because I
Mm.
realized it's not real. You literally succeed or learn. That is it. There's no in between.
There-
Unless, to me, failing is just having a bad attitude about it, really. So unless you have if you can get that out of the works, you can't fail. So letting that fear go, I really feel like is the basis of success always.
Always in everything that you do.
Yeah.
And I do think, your mom giving you that opportunity to step into something that she probably knew in her mind wasn't going to turn out the greatest, but maybe you would have liked it and somebody else
Yeah.
could like it too. I mean, there is no failure when you're in it for the reason that you're in it. And every obstacle brings growth, right? And every obstacle brings something that you can then move forward with, that's going to
Mm-hmm.
help you to create a different version of yourself. And I
Yeah.
do believe, as a parent with older children, I'm constantly telling my children, school is an opportunity to learn. School is an opportunity for growth. School is not four walls that's going to dictate your life.
Yeah.
it is a growing up time. It is a time to experiment with different classes to see, the amount of people that actually use their degree are low. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
pick something random, but it just
Yeah.
means pick something that you're passionate about, but know that that's not the end all be all.
Yeah.
And it's okay, it's okay that you might choose a different path or that something else comes up. Just lean into it, lean into the opportunities that you're given. Even when you have that fear, do it anyways,
Yeah.
right? Try it anyways. And the worst thing that's going to happen is it's not going to turn out great. And then you pivot and go a different direction, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Being flexible is such a superpower that
mhm.
is underestimated. And with the whole schooling situation, for me, I love education. I think, growing and learning is something we should always be doing. I never
Always.
went to college, and I graduated at 14. So
Oh,
like
geez.
I really put a lot of emphasis on my learning. But for me, in my profession, what I knew I wanted to do, I knew I didn't need college for that. But everyone's so different, and you need to do with, look at your situation, look at what you want to do, and go for it, and act accordingly, choose things accordingly.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, again, there was just so many years where the you should, go to
Hmm.
college, you should finish, you should. People, live that narrative of, well, I should do this. Rather,
Yeah.
do you want to do that? Does it feel right to you? Is it aligned with you? Is it going to help you grow in any way? If it's not, then it's not the right step for you.
Yeah.
Um, and I do believe that learning is forever. If you're not learning something new every day or meeting somebody who's going to give you a little piece of wisdom or whatever, you're not living,
Yeah.
because learning is living. And that is ultimately why we are all put on the earth. And we're all so different because
Yeah.
living in community, we can learn from one another. I think on a health and wellness journey, there are so many parts and pieces to an overall picture of like an integrative portion of wellness that
Yeah.
we can't really leave out any of the pieces in order to really grow holistically and in a balanced way. So, again, when you guys are the listeners out there, when you're sitting here and you're, thinking for 2024, you want to look a certain way, you want to do a certain thing with exercise, you want to, you know, be this, get this job, do this, they're all fine to kind of say, but you've got to break it down and pick things that you can do on a daily basis that are going to then help you step forward into those things. You can't wish upon something to happen without putting the effort and the energy into it. And obviously Tessa's done that. She had a vision. She had something that drove her to go look at that RV. She could have said to herself, that's silly, Tessa, don't go do that, and talked herself out of it. But instead she just went with her gut and she went and looked at it, and something spoke to her, right? And so by her taking those very small, tiny steps and listening to her intuition, she's created a different life for herself and the life that she desires at this moment. And in 10, 15, 20 years, it could be something completely different. But it's a starting point, and everybody has to start somewhere. And who knows what'll happen? She might be the RV tiny luxury home, person that everybody buys cars from,
Yeah.
down the road. So again, I think you're so inspirational.
Thank you.
I would love to see you inspiring the younger generation, and even the older generation, just to, with what you've done, teaching people how to let inspiration drive them rather than fear, because I
Yeah.
think that's super important.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
curious about, like, go ahead.
No, 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 go ahead. You're good.
No, you're good.
Oh, I was adding on to what you were saying, because I think that's so true. It's my husband and I talk about this a lot. Is we look at people in different situations, whether they're extreme bad, extreme good, whatever, and we say, "Wow, it's so funny how many tiny decisions you have to make over years to get to that point."
Mhm.
And nothing, no success and no failure, um, ever just happened because of one decision. So
Mm,
so don't, I'm a perfectionist myself. I have to work on that constantly, but you
mhm.
can't let your inner critic be your guide.
There you
And you
go.
really have to realize that small decisions make up the big picture. So
Mm.
start slow, just but as long as you're moving forward, that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I think that's also like a very clouded thing that people think, when they wake up one day and they say, I want to have better health, they think that
Yeah.
they can do it in a week's time. And
Yeah.
ultimately, whatever age you are, you have to think about it's taken you, however many years and all the decisions that were made for you as a child. And then as you started making decisions, that has landed you where you are today. And in order to move past that, you have to actually look backwards and
Hmm.
see what did go on. How did you grow up? What were those things like? And who spoke to you in what ways? And how did that affect you? And what did you take from that situation? What did you leave behind? And by analyzing and really looking backwards, you're able to then get to know yourself better, reframe a lot of those stories, because they are stories that we tell ourselves. And that's the whole perfectionist thing. Somebody somewhere along the line told us, probably as children, because we don't have autonomy over a lot of things. So our parents tell us what to do. And
Yeah.
somewhere along the way, not that our parents are horrible or didn't intentionally do this, we have picked up something that told us, if you're going to do something, it needs to be perfect in the end. And I
Yeah.
think that that is untruth. And I think we all have to work on reframing the word perfection into
Yeah.
something different. There is no perfect. That's
Yeah.
that's the funny thing. There is no perfect, because to one person, for one person, what perfect is different for another person. So it's all really just what resonates, I think, with each being, rather than perfection. But it
For
is
sure.
something that a lot of people work. I call myself a recovering perfectionist, and the way that
Yeah.
I have gotten like through some of it is by forcing myself to do things messy. And when I say messy, doing it without doing the research behind it, doing it without having the wherewithal of what the outcome might be. And when you do that, so much more abundance comes, and for things come to fruition. And it's taking that chance,
Oh my
which
goodness,
is
yes, that's so healing to even hear that. That's such a simple kind of thought, but like to put it into practice is so hard. But to let yourself do things like you said, messy. I mean, oh my goodness, there's so much healing in that for sure. Yeah.
one time a week. You should just pick something that you're going to
Yeah.
do without directions, without a thought, just what do you think? What, just do it,
Yeah.
and because I'm a researcher, I like to research things. I like to make
Me too.
sure that, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that with this. I'm just going to dive in and figure it out, and that's frightening to me because it's just not how my brain was programmed.
Yeah.
But I will say, every time I do that, the end result is so much more than if I would have planned it out, or if I would have studied it before doing it, and things like that.
Yeah,
Um,
there's never growth in just being comfortable. I
yeah.
mean, you always have to push yourself and then you'll always see results from it. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So what advice do you have for people who are sitting here thinking, what creative thing could I do, um, as I grow into my, self that I'm creating in 2024?
Yeah. I guess try things. Really, don't think that if you commit to something, you have to become an expert at it. I mean, you can always be flexible. Just try and dabble in as many things as possible. Not to get back to design, saying you need to design your house or anything, but the space that we live in is, health. It does inspire or it does not inspire us. So making sure that your space, taking a day to really just reorganize and get an inspirational space where you can go from there, a good foundation. That's
Foundation.
that's so important. Yeah.
I love it. This is totally off subject, but you said
Yeah.
something earlier in the conversation about growing up with tinctures, and
Yeah.
I'm wellness all the way around. So I want to hear about your experience with them, and do you use them today with your daughter, or how, what are some of your wellness things that you do today that maybe you brought forward with you, or have created on your own?
Yeah. No, I love herbs. I think herbal is the way to go. I rarely do anything other than herbal. Like I've probably in the last 5 years taken like 2 Tylenol. So like I'm very like focused on herbs and stuff. I think with my kids, I haven't. So I have 2 kids. I have a 9-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. And with my 9-year-old son, I used to make tinctures a lot when he was a baby and do stuff like that. But really, right now, with how hectic life is and everything, we try to really cook at home and cook healthy meals and put a lot of focus on getting the nutrition. It was also an adjustment to go from 1 kid to 2 kids too, and with the working and all that. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, I buy herbs all the time and we take tinctures and stuff. My kids can take them like a champ. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
I think Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was to say some people don't know what tinctures are. So could you explain to them,
Yeah.
what it actually is in case they don't
Well,
know?
they're either alcohol based or glycerin based, but they're just herbs that are highly concentrated. So they're super super strong. And I think with your typical average person used to like sodas and candies, I think they'd be really like hard to take. But I grew up with it, so like I just like it's just a very earthy herbal flavor in a concentrated little bit. Yeah.
So it's concentrated goodness basically, but
Yeah,
there is a
basically.
way to make them and safely. And so if
Yes.
you
Oh
are
yeah,
interested in tinctures, obviously look them up in research. But
for sure.
I started learning about tinctures probably, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago.
Hmm.
And my first experience was oil of oregano.
That stuff is strong.
It was strong, and
Yeah.
it was probably more like 10, I don't know, 9, 10 years ago. And I'd never done anything like that, but I had this terrible cough. Like my husband was out of town. I, had my 2 little bit girls, they were small at the time, and I was just like, I just need something, to get me through because I can't get to the doctor and whatever. Um, and my sister went to our little vitamin shop and asked, and so they gave her that. And I was like, I'll try anything just so I can get a night's rest. That it was so strong, but till this day, when anybody starts with a tiny little congestion cough, we drop it into water. I took it straight up that night just because I was like, I'm an adult, and I was like,
Yeah.
holy moly,
Yeah.
strong. Um, but for the kids, I just, drop it into water, and it's an amazing supplement. I mean, it works great on, getting quieting coughs and things like that. So
It is. I like to make the majority of my health journey, holistic and everything. I have nothing against medicine and doctors. I think they're great when you need them, a hundred
yeah,
percent. But
yeah.
being balanced and making good decisions and really listening to your body more than anything.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's all great for health.
Yeah, that's awesome. So thank you for letting us know about that and that
Yeah.
experience that you had. So, okay, before we end, I just would love to know for you, what are a couple of non-negotiables that you do on a daily basis in the chaotic world that you live with kids and jobs and husbands and all the things that create the best wellness for yourself?
So I think one thing that I've been doing different than I ever have in my whole life, which is non-negotiable for me, is I go to the gym and I exercise, but I don't do it at all with the intention of looking good, and
Mhm.
it's not a physical thing anymore at all. It is 100% mental health and just doing it for me. I mean, once you take that like vainness out of it, which I think
Mhm.
is easy to do, especially after having kids and you're, the expectations there and everything. It's so healing and it's so great. And I try not to I try not to be a perfectionist about it and say I have to be working out hard for an hour a day. I mean, sometimes it's 15 minutes, sometimes it's 10 minutes, and sometimes I'm walking on a treadmill at like 3 miles an hour.
Right.
It doesn't matter. And I
Yeah.
just try to move.
Mhm.
And I do that for me and I do that for my mental health. That's a huge thing for me every day.
I love that. And I
Yeah.
love how you gave yourself permission to do it messy and do it all over the place and not have a complete expectation except to move. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get hung up on, I don't like the gym. Nobody's telling you go to the gym, walk outside. I mean, it's
Yeah.
as simple as it's free. It's nature. Nature is healing in itself, but you find something that lights you up. What did you do? Nobody, when you were like 5 years old, nobody said, go exercise. It was like, go ride your
Yeah.
bike, go to your friend's house, have
You
fun,
just did.
run
Yeah.
around. You just moved, and it's
Yeah.
like the amount of movement you get. And then you look at yourself, and your older ages, this non-movement that you get is crazy. And so people just
Yeah.
really need to add a tiny bit of movement in. And you're right, it's not really for the look, it's more for the headspace and the feeling and getting your body boosted and moving and going. And it's positive. I mean, it's just makes you have a different outlook on life for the
Yeah.
day when you actually get that movement in. Which,
Yeah.
speaking of, it's blue skies today, no storms like yesterday.
Yes.
And so
Finally.
getting out in nature today, it's a little chilly, but it'll feel good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was amazing. For everybody listening, if you're intrigued and want to follow Tessa and see her amazing designs, and if you're ever in the market, she's definitely someone that could help you renovate a little tiny space for yourself in an RV. I'm keeping you at the top of my mind because I have no idea what our retirement looks like, but
Yeah.
a thought I had years ago was I would love to travel in RV. And then I thought, could I stand an RV? Would it be okay for a long period of time? And now I'm like, oh, it certainly can, because
You
Tessa
can
can
now.
make it. That's right. Because Tessa can make it feel like my home and not. So I definitely keeping you in my little mind when I'm
Great.
as we get up to the retirement age. But for all of you out there, I'm going to drop all of her information in the show notes, just for fun. If you're not interested in RV, you can at least see her great designs on social media, and you can recommend her if somebody you know is looking for a beautiful space to travel in. Until next time, everybody, I hope that you have an amazing day, and we will talk soon. Thank you. Thank you, Tessa.
Thank you.
Wasn't that just an amazing episode? Wasn't Tessa just super wise beyond her years? I just loved her. A couple of the takeaways. First of all, I can't wait to get an RV someday and have her redesign it for me. Please check out her website and stuff, because her Instagram, because the pictures are amazing. A couple of takeaways. Remember to embrace creativity and passion. Remember, we might have forgotten how we are creative. And so now is your opportunity to start digging and discovering again. Number 2, using failure or non-successes as opportunities for growth, making sure to reframe that you're not failing at something, but you're learning through that experience to get you to the next step. Number 3, learn, grow, and take those small steps. We always talk about those 1% shifts, and being consistent with those little steps is what's going to get you where you want to go. And lastly, making sure that you use some of those holistic wellness practices that you've come in contact with. I love that Tessa shared that her mom used tinctures and holistic methods for her at a very young age, and she's brought some of that into her mothering journey, along with some things that she's discovered on her own, whole foods and focusing on cooking at home and things like that. So I hope you guys got something from that episode, and I can't wait to talk to you on the next one. Bye. Thanks for tuning in today. I loved being here with you. I hope that you got something from today's episode. I'd love to hear what resonated with you. Drop a comment below, and if you feel led to, download the episode and share it with someone you love that needs to hear this message. As we continue to spread the goodness of this podcast, I'd love for you to help us by leaving a review on Apple Podcast or a rate on Spotify. As we increase listeners, we will come up more often when women are searching for podcasts to listen to. To stay connected with me, you can check out my social media pages at Live Life Balanced with Robin. You can check out my website at livelifebalancedwithrobin.com. You can book a discovery call. And if you're looking for a way to get started right now, you can opt in for my new quick guide for the empty nester refresh. You can join my waitlist for my new course, It's Your Time, which is going to be launching soon, which I'm super excited about. And as always, thank you for letting me be part of your day. It truly means a lot that you're allowing me to be on your wellness journey with you. Until next time, find peace, love, and light by breathing, being present, and allowing for all possibilities to happen.